So, this video is a bit of a ramble about feelings. Now, before you run for the hills, yes, I said the word feelings, stick around because I think we can be pretty nuanced about this. I'm talking about having your first wheelchair. I've been there. I have multiple chronic illnesses, which, to people's varying understanding of the word disabilities and what being disabled means, that brings me into my topic. There has been a rise on social media of images or videos of people saying, "Oh, it's new wheelchair day," or "Look, I'm getting measured for my first wheelchair. I'm so excited." And then eventually it arrives, and for 60% to 70% of the time, these wheelchairs always turn up pink. I'm not getting at the people who do that. I think it's marvellous that you can be that positive. But where does that leave you if you don't want to be so blatantly pink and bold and out there? You're not that confident, and you're staring at the space where the wheelchair is meant to sit, and you're looking at it quite resentfully. That is not portrayed online half as much. There has been a massive push for positivity, acceptance of wheelchairs, of acceptance of wheelchair use for chronic illnesses more and more and more. But for a lot of people, the reality is those feelings don't match with what they're feeling. And if you don't feel that either, you're not alone. This all came to a head for me when I've been interacting increasingly with people online who are saying, "Oh, why don't people understand that my illness is the thing that's wrong with me?" When they're demonizing my wheelchair, "But my wheelchair is a fantastic aid. Why don't people just understand that?" The word there is just. Why don't people just understand that? Now, the word just, as any writer knows, this is a writer's channel primarily, so hi to any writers who have stumbled across this video. Hopefully we can help you to write disabled characters better through this conversation. Anyway, so what does this have to do with wheelchairs? For people who are maybe looking at facing their own wheelchairs, who are quite daunted by the prospect, I would say you're not alone. The idea of a wheelchair comes with symbolism, whether wheelchair positive people like it or not. I would say I am now wheelchair positive. It helps me to get out the house to my medical appointments without fainting. Every now and again, when I have enough energy, I can use it to get out to somewhere like the cinema, what's not too over-demanding. I particularly like autistic relaxed screenings. I'm also autistic. But it also, for the majority of people, comes with the realisation of where have you seen wheelchairs? Accidents, very unwell, or because they are nearing the end of their life, and that's the big one. It always comes with the sense of loss, a loss of a life you've grieved, a loss of functionality you no longer have, maybe potentially for some people towards the end of their lives. So a coming loss, and that is the feelings that a wheelchair for the majority of people evoke. Then you get people popping up who've had wheelchairs to say, "Yes, but it's so much freedom for me. It can take me out of the house. It can take me here. It can take me there. It's a wondrous aid." People stop demonising the wheelchair. I don't think anyone is trying to demonise the wheelchair. I think some people do have a use it or lose it mentality. To be honest, when you get to the point of a wheelchair, you probably lost it already, whatever it is. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, meaning sometimes I can hobble around my house, but I do play musical chairs when there are chairs everywhere. I have also come to know a lot of places by their ceilings because POTS makes you lie down a lot to try to get blood back to your head. That's a different conversation. Or is it? Because when I was coming to the conclusion that I needed a wheelchair, I was a person who tried to fight it off tooth and nail, to be that, no, I'm fighting, I'm going to be independent. It got to a point where for me to walk down a corridor to the department in a hospital where they dealt with people fainting was enough to turn my lips blue, and I was extraordinarily lightheaded. So I said, okay, I'm going to buy a rollator. So a little walker with a seat on it, which I did. And even that was annoying. It was like, okay, I've had to give in. It means I'm going to have to sit multiple times down this corridor before I then walk again, and then when I get there I can sit with my feet up on the rollator, try to elevate my legs for circulation. I realised halfway down the corridor, even with the rollator, the problem is I was still trying to stand. It was still causing a lot of lightheadedness, and yeah, it wasn't working. So after that, I ended up saying, right, I do need to get to this appointment. To figure out why I'm fainting in the first place, I need a wheelchair to do that. I cannot walk down this corridor to even get to that appointment anymore. And I hated it. I absolutely resented the idea that I was giving in. So much so to the point that when I had ordered a wheelchair, I'd gone online, I'd done my research, I'd found one. I found that everyone else in my family was more excited about this prospect than I was, because they wanted to be around me and to get out of the house with me again. Me, I'm wondering, do I have the energy to get through a day? And I was busy grieving for the life I just lost, going from fully functioning, playing badminton quite often, all of a sudden to not being able to get down a hospital corridor, go to a shop, get to the end of your street, or even walk around your house for more than a minute or two without getting extraordinarily lightheaded and on the brink of fainting. I have POTS and ADS, low blood pressure, fatigue, that sort of a thing. So I would glare at the spot where the wheelchair was going to be. So when people ask me, oh, don't you just hate it when people are demonising the wheelchair instead of saying, well, it's my illness which is the real culprit. Well, actually, I used to be one of those people myself, so I give them a break. I don't expect people to be as knowledgeable as me or to have had the life experiences. But I've had to go through a process of accepting quite begrudgingly that, okay, this is my new reality. And when the only real places you've seen people in wheelchairs are either people combined with special needs, or they are the elderly, or they are people who are paralysed, or on the other end of the spectrum, these really happy, bright, positive people who are chronic illness warriors, and my feelings didn't match theirs at all. It felt quite isolating, very much so. And this is my call out to people online, to say that if you aren't looking forward to the prospect of a wheelchair, you don't like the idea of a wheelchair, you were me, that person who's glaring at where the wheelchair is even going to go, and you are still grieving for the circumstances that brought you there, that is still a valid step in your journey, and you should not be brought down for that. Saying that though, the very first time I then used the wheelchair to get out somewhere, it was a marvel. And I've been waxing poetic now to every person about the wheelchair ever since. I now have 2 wheelchairs, and that is now transferred onto my second chair, along with a bit of a moan about how much it costs, but that's another story. So just to say that if you aren't matching all this positivity, then you're not alone. If you say, oh, well, I've lost so much, my old world is crumbling, maybe this is now my new identity, I should have hopped on this train on Instagram or TikTok or Reddit to show off my new wheelchair too. That's something only you can really say what you feel comfortable with. It kind of wraps it up in your identity. Do you want it to be a part of your identity? Oh yes, I'm Adara, I'm a wheelchair user. Or you can say that you're a person with some needs, but everyone has needs, and they look different to each person. Do you want to make this your new online identity? You don't have to. I have always gone for very conservative looking wheelchairs. I've never gone for the bright pink. Does that make me any less proud to be a wheelchair user? No. Do I have to be proud to be a wheelchair user? Also no. It's an aid. It's a tool. I can do with whatever I like with it. Do I depend on it an awful lot? Yes. I'd say it's an extraordinarily important tool to me, for me to be connecting with people. So that's what I want to say is stop going after people who aren't ultra positive about wheelchairs. Stop going after yourself and beating yourself up if you're not that positive too, because this is a process. Chances are your life has shifted beyond what you ever imagined the course of your life looking like. If you're at the point of watching this video and facing your first wheelchair, there is an element of grief in that, but at the same time there is and will be likely a sense of relief. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. Writers, if you're out there, if you want to write wheelchair characters, please go forward thinking you don't have to be so positive. You can write this conflict because it is real and it resonates with a lot of people. Thank you.